Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. My name is Royston Lebo, and welcome to the MuleSoft online meetup group in English. Today we have Ibra Abulela from Melbourne, who's joining us to talk about managed file transfer services using Mule 4. If you have any questions during the session, please pop them in the YouTube chat. I will be asking questions to Ibra later on in the session. And the slides for the session will be made available on the event page within 48 hours. So with that, Ibra, please take it away. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Again, as Royston just said, I'm Ibra Abulela. I am an integration architect slash manager at WhiteSky Labs, which became a Capgemini company. I have years of experience in IT development and solution architecture. 9 of those years were in integration space. And yes, our topic today would be MFT, how it works with MuleSoft, and one of those platforms which work really easily with MuleSoft, which is a Thru platform. So without further ado, let's start. So first of all, what's a managed file transfer? So a managed file transfer is a platform that would enable you to easily transfer your files and manage and control them. And to be able to do that in the 21st century, there would be like to support a lot of secure platforms like HTTPS, SFTP, FTPS out of the box. And it will help to like maintain a high level of security, whether at rest or during transporting these files over the internet. And I cannot stress this enough, but control and visibility is very important issue when it comes to file transfer. So as you can see, like it all started from FTP and it progressed to SFTP, where we realized how we need to secure our files and our data. And then with all the extra utilities we have on hand, then it became an MFT, and that's the natural evolution of file management. So what are the drivers that created the need for an MFT system? We have operational incentives, which is the ability to secure and exchange the file easily with your business partners, control and visibility over the movement of these files. And you all been there, like you go to a client or in your own organization, and you have like this outdated system or monolithic application that have a lot of maintenance, and like there's a lot of files flying around and we have no idea what's happening really in the system or in the integration itself. And again, it's out of the box and very quick. It's definitely helped shorten your time to market, and who doesn't want short time to market? And then business incentives. So to be secure, able to manage data, especially if you're an agency, if you're working with a bank or any other customer that have critical information, that would be a big deal. Help support compliance requirement. So if you are like, again, like you have to be compliant with a GDPR regulations or any other regulation, if you're working with the Australian government or any other government, you'll probably need to comply with these. So it's much easier to do that if you are using an MFT. And again, back to the operational efficiency, because a smart business would definitely be after a very efficient operational processes and scalable ones. So how does it work? On a very high level and simple, simplifying this process, it's basically about authenticating the inbound users, store this file in a secure format, and you can use an encryption algorithm as well if you would like. Notify the intended recipients who are subscribed to this transport or channel, and then authenticate these outbound users, and very, very important again, to log and audit all these activities when it happens. By doing that, it helps to centralize your access and providing like strong authentication and file encryption and auditing. Now that we have a high-level understanding of what's an MFT, now let's have a look on one of the upcoming and very strong players in the market, which is Thru. So these are some of the clients for Thru, and we're gonna remain for a little while on this slide here. So we're gonna be going through exactly the main features of Thru platform. So the main thing about Thru, guys, is that it's a cloud-based MFT. So you don't need to set up anything on your premise. It's just like a subscription, much like a Cloud Hub, if you would like to think about it. And you don't need any code, and it's very easy to use, and it's API-centric. So we're gonna gonna go together through this circle. So first of all, it's cloud native, as we just said, and it's also pay as you for use. So you pay as per your usage or per transaction. So if you upload a file, that's a transaction. If you download a file, that's another transaction, and then you get charged accordingly. You don't need any code for it. So it's web-based configuration and management. It's API-centric. So you can actually connect. It has a connector for MuleSoft, very easy to use one. And we're gonna see how this is configured. It's basically like a drag and drop and copy paste few values into it, and voila, it's working. It also actually, you can manage anything that we're gonna see during the demo that has been done through the web interface can be actually done as well through APIs as well. It's easy onboarding, so it's very simple and fast partner onboarding via the admin web portal. Also, each partner can have access to its self-service web portal as well, automatically. It's automatically created, excuse me, when you onboard them. Guaranteed delivery, so there is no such thing as file was lost. Files are always stored in the Thru platform, and alerts are sent if any exception or any unexpected behavior happens. It's a public subscribe design, so you don't need to have like all over the place many-to-many point-to-point integration that you can easily get lost in or lose track of what has been happening. So it's basically like as easy as, all right, we have a supplier of information here, and he's gonna put his information into this channel, and whoever wants to subscribe can subscribe to this channel. Or we have this channel that's designed for these kinds of files, and whoever wants to publish files to it can just publish there, and whoever wants to subscribe can also subscribe for it. And it's also enhanced the monitor and control of all these transfers. And it's single place, you can watch it all, you can stop or start any flow, and you can replay files if needed as well. So to put that into perspective, first one is organizations, and these are the participants or the players, whether they are suppliers or consumers of files. We have the endpoints, which is source and the target location for these files. And we have the transports, which is exchange workflow process itself. So since we are all or mostly Muleys, and we would like to know how this works with MuleSoft, and so this diagram will do the trick for us. So basically, guys, if we say this is a transport, this is the actual process that transfers a file. And on the left here, we will have the organizations and the endpoints. And all this is inside the Thru platform, all this section here. And then on the right side, you can see that we have MuleSoft Flow and MuleSoft Apps. And these guys will be managing on the right-hand side. So if you are a MuleSoft developer, all what you need to know is which transport am I receiving or sending the data to. And then you can manage all your infrastructure or all your applications here in isolation of where this data is coming from. And if you have a closer look here, so these are the three entities that we talked about, which is a transport, an organization, and an endpoint. So how that works is we usually have an organization first or a transport first, and then we have an organization, whether it's a supplier or a consumer. And this organization would have an endpoint, and then we're gonna subscribe this organization to this transport. And when we do that, we will have to assign an endpoint. We're gonna, if you got lost around any aspect in this diagram, that's all right. We're gonna go through these steps together. The important thing to note here is you have the MuleSoft on one side, and you have all the headache of managing new subscribers, new consumers on the other side. You don't even need to know about it. So yeah, if you have like any file transfers, it's probably a good idea to combine both MuleSoft and MFT together to replace it. Especially if you have like huge files. So managing as well huge files is one of the advantages of using Thru MFT. And one of the main advantages as well is that they have their MuleSoft connector that we're gonna check together very soon. So the connector provides you with a very simple pickup and drop off operations. It doesn't require any code on our end. And then it again achieved this separation between data processing in the Mule flow and the distribution or file collection that is done by Thru. And endpoints are invisible for MuleSoft. You don't care what's happening after that. You just deliver it to the transport, and this is the end of, this is as far as MuleSoft is concerned. And that gives us the chance to concentrate on the business logic and in isolation of the headache of the distribution of the file. So now let's go to the demo. So what I'll do, I'll go through explaining a very simple use case together, and then I'm gonna run you guys through the exact steps to do that, just to show you how simple it actually is. So we're gonna have an Acme Inc. Company that it actually provides price comparison services. And Acme Inc. need to receive products or services prices on, let's assume, weekly basis from 3 different service providers. And it has been doing that through files, and each of these providers have different like file formats or different file names and endpoints, applications, of course. And Acme Inc. as well would like to not just to provide these comparisons through its website, but it would like as well to provide these data to consumers or third parties through files. So it's gonna be processing these files and then sending the enriched file to the consumers. So we again have providers sending data to Acme and sending the consolidated or enriched data to down according to the Thru MFT entities, it will look something very similar to that. So we're gonna have providers here, each one have its own endpoint, and we're gonna have a feed transport, which these providers will submit their data into, and then we will have the MuleSoft coming in the picture and consuming the file from the feed transport, doing some processing on it, and then enriching the data and sending it to the push transport, where it gets transmitted into clients. So I'm not gonna do all the providers. I just did one, the red, highlighted red ones. So these are the ones that we're gonna cover. We're gonna come back to that diagram later as well. So to do that, guys, into Thru platform, these are the basic steps. So we're gonna create a transport, create an endpoint, create an organization, and then create an endpoint for this organization, register the organization to the transport, and then we're gonna generate access and get the files going. I'm gonna escape my screen, my full screen, and I'm gonna go to the actual platform. So this is the homepage, guys, of the Thru platform. You can actually see here, you have the transport list, organization list, and the files that has been transmitted. So I'll walk you through what I have done. So if I go to the organization list first, so I have Acme Inc. here, and I have client 1 and supplier 1. If I go to the transports, we have the transport where the supplier submit their feed, and we have another one for the clients to register and receive the files. So I'm gonna run you again through what I have done already, and then I'm gonna actually do like simulate that I'm doing it with you as well. So let's start from the transport. Actually, let's actually add a transport just for the fun of it. So I'm gonna call this demo transport. And you can here select whether it's a MuleSoft transport or a Thru one. So you can do that, but this is not involving MuleSoft. So the one in blue are the one that you can use with MuleSoft. They do have other transports that are many-to-many. So here you can like make it a feed or a push or a private exchange. So this is basically where you give feedback on the file. And this is actually one of the most important features of Thru platform as well, that you don't just consume the file, but you can actually give a feedback, an exact feedback on the files. So let's just click feed and click next. And then it's gonna tell you like select a target system. This is just like basically a name to say, it doesn't map to anything physical. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna send that to MuleSoft or to my internal system, just something for you to know where this is going as well. So I can actually just add a system, and then I'm gonna say like, this is a new system, feed system, right? Select next. So these are the transport information. You got select, create a transport, but we are not going to do that now. So after you do that, you get your feed transport, which is this one. And then if you can have here connector access. So actually, because I don't want to reset my connector, I might create one now. But yeah, maybe if you have time at the end, I will actually create a new transport for you guys. But for now, just if you click here, it will give you some access. Actually, yeah, let's do that so you guys can see it. So back to transports. Just gonna create a transport here. a MuleSoft one. Let's say it's a push platform, even transport, just so you guys know as well. So here it will also like tell you, ask you to select a target system. So I'm gonna add a system. System. Oh, sorry. Yeah, next. Create transport. So now you can see there's a new transport here, and it's a demo, the demo push system that we just created. If I click here, guys, and I click on, see here, it doesn't have connector access, so it's unassigned. It gives you this flag. If I click on that key here, it will give you access information that will never be retrievable again. So you will need to actually save this information somewhere and use this information in the Thru connector that we are going to look how we can do that very soon as well. Actually, let's do that now. So I will go to my AnyPoint Studio here. I might just create a new subflow or flow, a new flow here. And if I go here, guys, and I click Thru or MFT, I'm gonna have all these nice MFT functions. But if you first time for you to use it, you will not have that in your panel. So how to get that is to go to your exit change and make sure you are logged in. And if you type here Thru, you will find Thru MFT connector coming into your window, and you can actually add it and install it to your machine. But I'm not going to do that because I've already done that before. So as soon as you do that, you can actually have access to the MFT connector here on the left. So if I select, let's say, actually, let's not do that from scratch. So I've already done that. So this is a file pickup component. And as you can see, it has a configuration, connector configuration. And this is where we pop in the details that we have just copied from the Thru platform. So if you just copy API URL, storage repository, site key, and flow secret into these fields here, and you test connection. So I've already done that to the other connector. So you're not going to use this transport, guys. We're going to go back to the transport I've already created. So this is a pickup. So I'm consuming the data. So I'm going to go to the client push, right? All right. So basically, I'm going to go back to that diagram, guys. So I'm simulating this transport here. This logic here is Acme logic, all right? So we have a Mule listener that actually consumes the data from the transport. Apologies. So we have like a Mule transport listener that will from the transport, do some processing, and then send it back. So the first listener will need to listen to the feed transport, which is that one. So this is a feed transport. And if you can see here, it's actually getting the data from an SFTP endpoint. So I'll show you right now how did I do that. So let's walk it in order. So we have the transport. Now we would like to have the data coming into the transport, which is will be through a supplier. So we'll need to create an organization. So we can add an organization. You can put here the organization name. I'll make it supplier 2 for now. And you can select a type. I'm just gonna say it's a business. And you can just create it. So these are the 2 only required fields. And you can have like supplier 2 here. This is the same as I did with the supplier 1. And if you use a supplier, you can actually create an endpoint. So how this supplier will, or any organization will interact with the system would be through an endpoint. So here you can add all the endpoints that's associated with this organization. So if I add an endpoint here, you can have a lot of varieties for endpoints you can add. One of the very strong features are the FTP and SFTP client, which is basically creates an SFTP server for you on the spot. You can also have an email link. This is basically for outbound information only. Or you can have like an S3 as well, Amazon S3 integration, an endpoint. Or yeah, you can have all varieties of transports you can see on the screen here. So yes, let's assume I will actually create an FTP or SFTP client just to show you guys how easy that is. So I'm gonna have supplier to FTP endpoint. As and the user, so you can just like copy paste that into your SFTP client, and you can actually access this endpoint. You can use user password, and it will actually generate a new password for you, or you can actually put a password yourself. And here you go, you get yourself an SFTP server with a working username and password. As soon as you click OK, it will get generated, but I'm not going to do that now as well. So I'm just going to go to supplier 1. And as you can see here, I have already created this FTP endpoint. And I have already had the details in my FileZilla here. So if I click here, you can see the details, right? So these are the details I have in my FileZilla. I'm gonna have to trust you on this one. And now the remaining step is that we need to register to or subscribe this endpoint to the transport. And you do that using this button here, add subscription. So when you add a subscription, it asks you which subscription you want to add to, because I'm already subscribed to this one, so I cannot select it again. But let's assume I'm gonna use this one, the demo transport we just created, right? I'm gonna say okay. And then it has another subscription with the demo transport. If I click on here, and now you can actually add a target endpoint. But yeah, we are not gonna do that again as well for now. And actually, let's delete this subscription. So if you are on any list on Thru platform, you can have an item, you will see an item list link here. And you can basically select whatever item you need to process, and you can either start, stop, or delete. So I'm just gonna delete this. And feed transport. And as you can see, I registered my SFTP endpoint. And when you register an SFTP endpoint and you click here, you will have a schedule like how often would you like to check this endpoint. So we have you can select continuously every few hours or seconds or minutes, and you can have daily, weekly, or monthly schedules. So for sake of demo, I'm just selecting 15 seconds here. And you can also get an alert if no file have arrived. But I also, again, like if for example, if I select daily, and I would like to say, all right, I will have an alert if nothing arrived in 2 days or 1 day. Depends how strict you want to be with your, probably you'll select 1 day. You can actually, if there is no files in this FTP endpoint within 1 day, you will get an alert on the system telling you that something is wrong with this integration or something is not working. So again, we're not gonna having any alerts for now. We're gonna have it 15 seconds and we're gonna press OK. So now that we have set our transport and we have set our supplier endpoint, and we have seen how we configure the Mule transport listener, let's see how we can actually, let's have a look first on the push transport quickly. So this is a push transport. Actually, now also let's delete this demo transport. So item selection, select, delete, and let's go. So now let's have a look on the push transport. So this is how the push transport would look like. It's receiving data from MuleSoft and it's sending it somewhere. So to select this somewhere, we need to create a client, and we need to have an endpoint for this client, and then we need to subscribe this client using this endpoint to that transport. So let's get rid that, like get this sorted as well, since we are here. So we're gonna go to organization. You're gonna create a new organization and select this as client 2, for example, right? Again, it's a business. You can actually select that it is a client. So let's do that. And you can have extra information here, like the public code for this organization, if you have a specific contact there. But yeah, we're gonna leave these blanks for the sake of demo. And then you have client 2. So we'll go to client 2. And then we're gonna create an endpoint. So for that case, let's assume we're gonna have actually an email endpoint. So I want to get like notified that a file has already been sent to this. Again, guys, you can have actually an FTP endpoint. So you can have like an SFTP client. So this is like client to SFTP endpoint. And again, Thru will just generate for you the details for that. And you can save this information somewhere and access. So that will happen then is that when Thru will receive a file, it will send it to this SFTP endpoint, and you can manage it from there as a client. I'm just gonna copy these details on the side in case we choose to use them later. And this is the password. And I'm gonna press OK. And now that we have the endpoint, we can have an add a subscription to this. And ask you which of these transfers would you like to register to. So we're gonna select the client one to receive the information or the file, the new file. And now we have subscription. If we click here and select, gonna add an endpoint to this transport, and we can select our SFTP. And you click here, guys, and you select how often you want to check that. So again, maybe select like every 15 seconds. And here, very important, you can see the delivery folder path on that SFTP. So also, I'm going to copy that as well. All right. And yeah, I'm not going to set up any alerts for now. I'm just going to save these settings. All right. So now if I go back, guys, to the transport, the client push, you will see that we have two subscriptions on that transport. One for client one, the one I've already created before this demo, which pushed to an email, and another one, client two, which pushed to an SFTP endpoint. And we did all that without even using Mule yet, all right? So yeah, so the Mule flow that we're gonna talk about now is gonna listen to the first transport, get the file, do some processing on it, and send it to the push transport where our clients will receive. So if I go to the Anypoint platform again, yeah, Studio, and here in the pickup, so I'll have here the configuration of the feed transport, right? So this is where I'll be listening. And then I'm gonna do some processing here. I'm gonna go through these steps very soon. But then the important thing here, I'm gonna drop off the result file to the other transport. So this is a different configuration. This is a push transport configuration. And you will find here the details of the second transport, right? Of course, guys, like I'm just putting the details out there on the screen so you can actually see it. But yeah, don't do that if you are actually, like, you know, make it secure, make it encrypted, make it property file as well. So yeah, I'm just showing you guys how it looks like. All right, so back to the actual flow. So what I have done here, guys, is I save the file. So basically what I want to do is I want to receive the file. We need to process it. I'm going to give a feedback as well on the file that I have already, I have used it. Or I have actually received it and I actually processed it well, or no, I have like 10 records that went wrong. And here are the IDs of the records that didn't really go through. Or I couldn't actually use the file at all. It was a corrupted file. Please notify someone. So I'm gonna go through this flow just in debug mode. And I'm gonna show you guys now as well how you can see in the platform the file processing. And this should be an exciting part for us. So I'm gonna debug as Mule application. And I'm just gonna go here. In the platform is the files. So if you come here and you check what files have been transferred across the whole platform. So these are basically file I processed before the demo. So I'm just gonna leave these guys here. It's demo sample2 and demo sample2.csv_enriched. So basically, this is enrichment, the enrichment that I've done to the file, because you don't really need to do much from Mule side. We all know Mule and we all know how capable it is. So just to make sure to make it distinctive, I just renamed that to underscore enriched here. So now we have the MuleSoft running. I'm just gonna, and now we also know, like, these are the only two files that have been transferred in the platform so far. I have my FileZilla here, and I've connected to the feed of the first transport. Just gonna refresh that guy. And I'm gonna put demo sample 1 or demo sample file into the folder here. And it has been transferred. And also I'm gonna set the auto refresh here on, and you can straight away see that we received the file demo sample.csv that is designated for this transport, the feed transport, supplier feed transport. And this is the file size. And it's in progress. And the reason it's in progress is probably because my MuleSoft has already pulled the file, and because I have been listening to that transport here, and it's processing the file. So as long as I'm processing it, you can see the status here in progress, all right? All right, so now I'm gonna continue with that. So I save the file. I'm gonna save also something called the file code. So basically the file code is a code that distinguishes each file from another. And then here, I'm gonna get the file metadata. So if you look here, this is a payload. This is the actual file. I have saved the file already in a variable. I have the file code saved in another variable. So now when I get the file metadata and I give it the file code, it will retrieve a lot of the metadata about this file from Thru platform. And accordingly, you can actually choose to do something different with the file. So let's have a look on what data will come back to us. It will give you when was the file created, the file code again, the file name. It will tell you its current status. It will tell you which flow it's coming from. So according to that, you might choose to do something different. Probably not yet. But more importantly, guys, it will tell you which supplier or what is the participant name that have uploaded this file. So you can see here it's coming from supplier 1. And you can have like this information, you can play with it. So you can actually add other metadata as well. So yes, I can say, okay, this is supplier 1, then I will probably pass it to another flow, or I would like make a specific changes to this file, or I need to have a specific validation on that file. And you can choose to do things according to this metadata. Moving forward, so here, all that I'm doing is I just enrich the file. So in this step, basically all I did was I changed the file name and I added underscore enriched. So just like file name, add underscore enriched. This is all that I'm gonna do. And then I want to upload this file, this new enriched file, to the other transfer, the push transfer. So I'm gonna use, this is another Thru operation that you can actually see it here. So this is a file drop off, which is this one. So the first one here, guys, is a file pickup source, which is this one here. And this metadata is this one there. And this is drop off. So that's the one. So here I will have the configuration referred to. This is the push transport configuration. And then you can have the metadata. So I put the file content from the variable I've saved already. And the file name. So I have it here, the new file name. And you can, you need also to provide the file size. So just payload.file size. This is one of the metadata you will get when you get metadata here as well. Or you can get the payload actual size or size of payload as well. And yes, so far, guys, if I go to the platform, I only have one file, which is an incoming file. All right. As soon as I finish this step, within 15 seconds, I should be able to see another file coming here, which is the enriched file. Not yet. All right, here we go. So as you can see here, I have demo sample.csv underscore enriched, all right? And its status, it has been delivered, but no one has picked it up yet. Which will change as well soon because I've already set up an email endpoint for it. But anyway, back to the flow here. And for the last MFT component that we're going to use in this demo, which is the outcome, flow outcome, which is this one, flow outcome. So basically what I want to say here, for the first transport, I want to say I consume the file, I process it successfully, and here's my feedback, all right? So in the flow outcome here, you will need to provide which file you are providing the outcome on, and then you have a status. So it's either passed, failed, or mixed results. And if you select mixed results, you will need, or actually either way, you can actually provide activity message and activity details. But I didn't do that now. But here it's a very powerful tool, guys. If you would like to, because a lot of times you have like a file that has like 10,000 records and maybe 100 of them failed, and you're like, all right, should I move this to a directory where it has been processed successfully or not, or should I provide another directory for the partial successful files, and where can I give this feedback, and then you give it in the logs, or send it an email, etc. So, but with just like if you're using like an MFT, especially one that's easily integrated with MuleSoft, this one, all you have to do is you have these feedback you want to provide in these two records here, and just send it, and someone will actually see it on the screen on an alert. So yeah, that's one way to do it. So yeah, if I, so far again, I have this in progress still. As soon as I move across this step here and just finish, when this refreshes again, you will see that this has been passed already. Here you go. All right, so now let's see. Now that has, so now you have seen the feed transport. Let's have a look on the client transport. Sorry. All right. So guys, if let's have a look on transports again. Oh, my bad, sorry. And let's have a look on the supplier feed, the client push transport. This has been running, and we have client one, which have an email endpoint, and this email endpoint is continuous. And if I go to client one as well, and check the endpoints, this email endpoint here, you will find it's my email address. So what that tells me, actually, that I should have received an email already, but that hasn't happened yet. So my guess is the platform, because this is a development environment, guys. So I'm sharing this environment with other people. So if I set priority boost on my account now, so it gives me a elevated priority set. So if I go back here and check my files, this one has been pending. So it should be it should say delivered soon. And when it does that, I should receive an email. See, now it's pending and it's saying 0 of 2 because I have already set up 2 endpoints or 2 clients for this transport. So 1 of 2 has already been delivered. If you click here, you will not be able to see much, but that's fine. Just gonna wait till it's say 2 of 2. Actually, guys, meanwhile, I can connect to the other SFTP just to make sure it has been delivered to the promised endpoint. So here I have this server. Just let's pop this information in my FileZilla here. Right. And let's put the user, password, port 22. We connect port the previous one. And let's go to that folder. And here you go. We have demo sample enriched.csv. And I'm guessing if I go there, I'll find this 2 of 2 or not yet. Let's see. Files again. For some reason, I think it didn't deliver to my email. Not sure why, to be honest. All right, so, you get a few surprises here and there. I guess this is my surprise of the day. It didn't get sent to my email, although despite the fact that it has actually been delivered a couple of times before using the same endpoint. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna accept that for now, since we're already running out of time. And yes, yeah, so that's what it is, guys, and that's the platform. And this register the organization, generate access keys so you can access in the Mule flow, and yeah, give the file through and check your logs. So now we can take questions. Over to you, Royston.
Hey, bro, just checking if you can hear me well.
Yes, I can.
Excellent. There's been a good amount of chat while you've been speaking. Thank you very much for your presentation. We've actually had Yao Silva from Thru being online at this time, so he's been able to answer some of the questions for us, which is quite helpful. Thank you very much for that, Yao. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I'll take some of the ones that have not yet been answered clearly. So we have a question from Abhijit on, I wanted to understand the typical use cases where we should implement an MFT-based integration while using Mule. So would you be able to talk about that?
Yeah, so basically, if you have like a file heavy pattern, like you have a lot of files going around in your system, and while you can actually use MuleSoft to do that, it might not be the best tool if you have big files, especially if you're like in Cloud Hub. If like I have gigs of like files that are gigs of data, it's not a smart idea to move it into Cloud Hub and back again, especially that Cloud Hub workers are like it have its own limitations as well. So yeah, like if you have like a lot of files going around as well, and you want to keep track of who have sent their files or who have consumed these files, or like have a good firm grasp of what has been happening with all these files going around, then it's probably a good idea to use an MFT.
Thank you. Madhu has a question. Just curious, under the hood, which cloud service provider is being used, if you are aware and able to share?
I believe it's AWS, but to be honest, I'm not quite sure. So maybe Joao can actually answer this question for us.
Fair enough. Thank you. Next question is from Debogiotti. So it looks like the file upload to MFT works as part of the main thread. Is there any out-of-the-box MFT capabilities to upload file to transport asynchronously?
I believe you can do that in Mule itself. So you can have like an asynchronous, couple of asynchronous flows, and you can upload the files. But yeah, Thru is actually, this is out of Thru's or the MFT realm. Like it's out of the system itself. So it's up to us. And we have MuleSoft. It's a very powerful tool. You can do all sorts of things with it, and that's why MuleSoft and MFT probably work really well together as well.
Thank you. A question in the similar vein. So there's been a question from Deepak around sizing considerations for the Mule runtime when handling MFT. So for example, what size worker should be used when handling a 2 GB file? Any guidance from your side?
Yeah, that's a good question. I cannot remember now what was the memory size of each Mule core size, but I believe you'll need a big one for a 2 giga file. So maybe you probably will definitely stream the file first of all. You don't want to load the whole file in your memory. But again, if you are using like a 2 gigs file, you probably will need a decent amount of memory. I cannot provide a solid input for now, but I believe maybe one core might be like one vCore might be needed for a 2 gigs file. But again, don't take my word on it.
Thank you. A question from Rianne. So my SFTP folder can only be accessed through Azure VMs. For my manual process, I need to remotely access the VMs, then connect to SFTP folder using FileZilla to upload and download the file. Can MFT help me on this?
Sorry, can you repeat the use case again?
So there's an SFTP folder which can only be accessed via an Azure VM.
Azure VM.
Yep, there's a manual process where they need to access the VM to connect to the SFTP folder using FileZilla. So similar to some sort of a jump box scenario. And Rianne is wondering, is MFT an applicable use case for this? How does it play?
I can't really understand what's the manual process in Azure looking like. There's a high probability you can do it with both MuleSoft and MFT, but to be able to give a solid input, I'll need to know exactly how does this look like.
Okay, thank you. Any guidance on the maximum file size that we can store in a Mule variable in regards to the maximum size of the file that can be moved around?
Yeah, definitely don't do what I did in this demo, guys. This is just like for demo purposes. I'll never do that in real life. Yeah, just don't do it. It's not a good idea to save the file in the memory. I apologize if I insinuated this in any way. But yeah, definitely you probably need to save the file somewhere else, stream it, and get your data as well, like, you know, saved the outcome data streamed and saved somewhere else. You don't want this data to be in your memory at all.
Thank you. This one you might not be able to answer, but I'll take a stab at it. Does Mule support integration with other MFT solutions such as Go Anywhere, GlobalScape, etc.?
Well, basically, Mule support connectors. So if there's a connector for it, you'll support it, right? If not, you can do it manually, but it will be more headache a little bit. So
yes, and that was going to be my response as well. So I haven't seen out of the box connectors for those services, Bosnia, but yes, if you there might be a harder way to connect to it eventually. And we have a question from Manik. So does connector support file streaming when reading files using MFT source?
I believe it does. Yes, it does. Definitely it does. I haven't used it in this demo, but yes, for large files, it does support stream.
Excellent. All right, we'll leave it at that for questions since we're on the hour. Ibro, I wanted to say a massive thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us today. For everyone who's tuned in, thank you very much for participating and being active in the chat. The slides for today's meetup will be posted up on the meetup event page within 48 hours. We'll have our next online meetup session next week, so please tune in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.